Well, there are two types of people in the world. There are cat people, and there are people who love to make fun of cat people. You can start making fun of me now, because I actually am a cat person. I actually like them. It took me a long time to agree to get a dog, because cats just seem to be a lot less high maintenance than dogs. I mean, you don't have to plan your social lives around your cat's bowel movements, right? You don't have to go out and take your cat for a walk in the rain. It just is much more convenient to have a cat. And the people that tried to convince me to get a dog when we did get a dog they said, they'll be so excited to see you when you come home, and they'll jump up and down and they'll lick you. And I'm like, who wants to be licked by a dog, right? Do you know what dogs eat? Have you seen that? There's actually a proverb in the Bible about what dogs eat. And it says in Proverbs chapter 26, verse 11, it says, as a dog returns to its own vomit, so a fool repeats his foolishness. And so I don't want to be licked by a dog. Well, whatever. I do have a dog now because I lost, and we have one. She's great. But we also still have a cat, our 15-year-old cat. And on one occasion, maybe, I don't really remember when this was. It must have been at least a year ago or so. We temporarily lost our cat. So it was during our church small group. It was a Monday night grassroots group. It had ended, and we noticed that the cat was nowhere to be found. She must have gotten outside, and so there was just instant panic in our home, and especially by my wife, Nikki. And the whole family, starts searching for her in the neighborhood. We take flashlights outside in the dark. We call her by her name. We talk to neighbors that we see on the sidewalk, and we post on our Facebook group, our neighborhood Facebook group, about it. We peer into drainage ditches and sewers and everything. We creeped in people's backyards, to find this lost cat. It's getting late though, and we have to put our kids to bed, and we're not having any luck. And so our kids, they've got to take baths, they've got to go to bed, they got to get ready for school the next morning. And so as good, responsible parents, we do the responsible thing, and we take our kids back to the house, and we leave them there alone, and we go back outside to keep searching for the cat. And so we left our precious baby kids alone, unattended, in the house, unsupervised, to go out and search for our precious old cat. Thankfully, we did end up finding her behind our back fence, some kind of open land that was back there. And when we finally found her, she was scared. She was a scaredy cat for sure. She was out of her mind scared at that point. She even ran from us. She was so scared. And I at one point, we were literally running after her, chasing her. She was dodging under a fence and stuff. Eventually, I had to grab her by the tail, to get her to just stop. And then I picked her up and took her home. And so after a very panic-stricken evening, all was well. Now, some of you might be thinking, really all that for a cat? Why just let him go? Good riddance. Who cares about cats like that? I think sometimes when we talk about the lost, which we've been doing in the series called Found People, Find People, I think sometimes people can feel like talking about the lost is sort of like talking about cats. And just like some people don't care about cats, some people don't really care about the lost. And no matter how much the pastor stands up and tries to inspire you to care about the lost and to seek and to find the lost, it kind of feels like he's trying to get you to go and help search for his lost cat. But you're just not a cat person, right? You're a dog person or whatever. But talking about the lost is not really the same as talking about cats. It's much more, you have to think about it as talking about any animal that you love, because I think we all have some animal, something that we care about, some animal that we love. Maybe it's not a cat to you. Maybe, you're more of a dog person. Maybe you like, Chinese dwarf hamsters or bearded dragons or an anaconda or something like that. I don't know what it is that you're that kind of an animal person, but I think we all in some way are some kind of animal person. For Jesus, I think he was a sheep person, because he talked about sheep a lot. Jesus was obviously not a cat person. He never talked about cats. We never hear about cats in the Bible. And in those days, dogs weren't man's best friend like they are today in America. The only time we read about dogs in the Bible is sort of in a derogatory sense. But Jesus was like a sheep person. And Jesus cared about sheep, and many in his agricultural society that he was a part of also cared about sheep. So Jesus frequently used these illustrations about sheep, like our hearts are captured by cute videos of cats and dogs on YouTube. Jesus' audience in the first century, their hearts were captured by the stories of sheep. And there's this one story that he tells, a very short story about sheep found in Luke chapter 15, starting verse 4, that we're going to look at in just a minute. And in this illustration, Jesus gives us 3 practical tips for seeking and saving the lost, for finding and restoring the lost. Remember, that's what we talked about from week 1 of this series, that the purpose of Jesus coming here to this world is to seek and to save the lost, to find and restore the lost, he says in Luke chapter 19, verse 10. So here's the very, very short story of sheep in Luke chapter 15, verse 4. So let's see if you can spot these 3 practical tips for seeking and saving the lost in these few verses. Verse 4. If a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness and go to search for the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he will joyfully carry it home on his shoulders. When he arrives, he will call together all his friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, because I have found my lost sheep." In the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away. Now, here's what's so fascinating to me personally about this parable. This parable is so completely illogical. I love logic, and this parable is not logical. It does not make any sense that a shepherd would leave 99 unintended sheep and go out and search for one lost sheep in the wilderness. You know, it's 1 in 100. I mean, why not just leave the one alone? It's just 1%. Who cares about the 1%? You know, if you were taking a test and you missed 1%, you'd be bragging that you only missed 1% and you got a 99. I mean, losing 1 out of 100 just doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. Just leave the 99. I mean, just leave the one and take the 99. Why would you risk the 99 to go and find the one? Because you might lose more if you go and find the one. But this parable teaches us something about saving the lost, and it teaches us that it's not logical, that it's not about numbers, because the lost are not numbers. The lost are people. You are a person, right? So to Jesus, you are not a number. You are a person. And reaching the lost is not about logic. It's about love. And love is just never logical. Never once is love logical. Love is reckless, as we just sang. Love is irresponsible. Love is sacrificial. Love, puts us in harm's way in order to save the ones that we love. Love ignores the rules. Love ignores the logic. Love ignores the cost. Love reaches the lost at any cost. Just like it was so irresponsible and illogical for Nikki and me to leave our children, our own flesh and blood children, at home alone unsupervised in order to go and search for a stupid cat, in the dark. Why would we do that? Because we loved that stupid cat, right? And love defies logic. Love reaches the lost at any cost. So that's tip number 1 to seeking and saving the lost, is to love. Number 1 is to love, to lead with love. Love is the motivation behind it all. Love is what drives us to seek and save the lost. And if we care that much, if you think about it, if we care that much about our lost pets, how much more should we care about lost people? But do we love the lost? Do you love the lost? Do you love the lost with an illogical, reckless kind of love? Or do you have a kind of love for the lost that would reach the lost at any cost to you? Any cost? I mean, you might not. You might not yet love the lost in that way, but you can actually learn to love the lost. See, the problem with us learning to love the lost is that many of us, we treat the lost like numbers rather than like people. We've learned to treat other people as minor characters in the story of our own selfish lives. And we care more about the service that person can provide to us and what they're supposed to do for us than who that person is and the image of God in which they were created. We don't think of them as people. We think of them as numbers. We've got to start, but we can learn to start thinking of them as brothers and sisters, as children of God. To reach the lost, To develop a love for the lost, we must learn to view every person that we meet, every person as, and this is going to blow your mind, as a person. That is how we have to start seeing them. As people whom God made, as people whom God loves, who God adores. Every person is not a number, and every person is even more valuable to God than a pet. Love is the motivation that leads us to seek and to save the lost at any cost. So number one is to lead with love. Love is the motivation. Love is even the topic of every conversation that you have with any lost person. I mean, we never try to engage lost people with trying to scare, the you-know-what out of them, right? We don't try to do that. We don't try to argue them into submission. We don't try to change them even. We do just try to love them. So number one is to lead with love. Number two is to leave your comfort. No search for the lost. If you've ever lost something and had to search for it, no search for the lost is ever comfortable. It's always panic-stricken. It's frantic. It's stressful. It's hurried. It's anything but comfortable when you're searching for something that's lost. And in order to reach the lost, we have to leave our comfort. We've got to go leave the comfort of being with the found. Okay, that means that you've got to be comfortable leaving your comfortable group of people that you always hang out with. Right? You've got to make room for new friends. You've got to be able to kind of step away from your bestest best friends that you're comfortable hanging out with in order to reach out to the awkward, difficult person. And let's be honest, right? That's hard to do. And we would much rather hang out with the 99 friends that we have everything in common with already and we know everything about in every way, rather than to reach out to the black sheep in our lives, pun intended, right? But that's what love requires of us, to love the lost and seek the lost at any cost. It costs us our comfort. Of course, that doesn't mean, right, that we just leave all of our Christian friends for good or leave all our bestest best friends for good, but it is a step away from our comfortable routines. It's a step away from your comfortable schedule. It's a step away from your comfortable group that you always call on the weekend. It's a step away from your besties to go out and search for the losties, right? So number two is to leave your comfort. And number three is to lose. Don't be afraid to lose. So many of us are uncomfortable with the idea of the thought of engaging the lost with spiritual things. We're scared to invite people to church. We're scared to give them any kind of explanation of the good news, to attempt to share with them what the gospel really is, because we're afraid that we're going to mess it up somehow. Or we're going to mess them up somehow. We're not going to get it right. We're going to do something wrong. We're going to mess things up. We're afraid that we're going to lose in that conversation. But listen, the lost are already lost. You're not going to make them more loster by engaging them, right? By talking with them, by inviting them, by sharing good news with them. The worst that can happen is that they just say no thanks, right? So don't be afraid to lose. Leave the results to God. Don't keep count. Your job is just to search. It's God's job to find. Your job is to share. It's God's job to save. You plant, God harvests. Now that is really such good news to me. I mean, it should be good news to you that it's God's job to do the saving. It's God's job to do the harvesting. That is good news because sometimes, really oftentimes, if I'm honest, is that I don't see a lot of harvesting all the time. I feel like I'm planting all the time, and I don't know that I see a lot of harvesting. There's a lot of stuff, lost people out there, and sometimes I don't feel like I'm that successful. And if that's the way that we have to judge ourselves as followers of Jesus, is by the success that we have, then I know I would feel like a loser most of the time. Because there are countless people, right, that I've invited to church that have never come, or maybe they've come once and never come again, and I don't know why that is. And there are couples, I know that there are couples that I've counseled before they've gotten married, and maybe I've married them also, and then now they're divorced, and so I feel like a failure there. And there are church members that once were awesome friends of mine, and now they have disowned me and don't talk to me anymore, and There are neighbors that I've done nothing but try to bless and help and serve, and I just pray for when they don't even know about it, and they ignore me or avoid me. You know, I've asked, I know that a lot of times I feel like a loser in that way, right? And I know that some of you have felt that way too. In fact, I asked several of you over recent weeks to share your stories of feeling like a loser, to share your stories of feeling like a failure in reaching the lost. And so here's what I heard from you guys. I asked Jamie. Jamie shared a time that she was hanging out with a friend who was not a Christian at a bouncy place. And somehow, unexpectedly, she didn't see this coming, but the conversation turned to politics and issues like abortion. And Jamie struggled to articulate how her faith influenced her political opinions on various issues like that, among others. And she said she walked away feeling ashamed because she felt like she was unprepared for such a faith conversation. And I determined I needed to be better prepared to share my faith so that it makes the most difference to the ears that hear it. So she felt like she didn't make a difference. She felt like she was given this opportunity to clearly articulate God's love for all people and God's love for this person in particular, and she just felt like she lost the chance to do that. I asked Jonathan, and Jonathan shared that he said, I don't really have one particular time that he felt like he felt like a loser, but he said 27 different times. There were 27 different people that he shared the gospel with and that they did not accept his invitation even to church. 27 people. That's not even counting the people that he has given a card to that didn't catch their name, but 27 different people who he knows their names have rejected him. I talked to Debbie, and that's my mom, in case you didn't know, but I have to say Debbie because it feels weird to say my mom. And she said, I invite people to church things over and over, and at least 75% of the people don't come. That's her estimation. I used to get very dejected about that, but I've developed a bit of a tough skin about it. After many failures, I've begun to realize that forming relationships with people works a whole lot better toward the goal of leading them to faith in Jesus than getting them to come to some event. In other words, it starts with love for her. And I talked to Lisa, and Lisa said that she shared with a student of hers. She was a teacher. She shared with a student of hers for about 2 years, carefully sharing the gospel with this young man. And after about 2 years, he moved away. But before he moved away, he made sure to tell her that he would never become a Christian because he didn't see in her a life of Christ exemplified. Ouch, right? It hurts to feel like you've lost. But look, we're all losers. We're all losers. We're full of losers who love the lost. We don't have to win them over. We just have to love them a little bit closer. And when you seek to reach the lost at any cost, sometimes it costs you the win. And sometimes you lose. And while we're talking about losers, let's talk about Jesus. And it doesn't feel right that we should call Jesus a loser, but by many accounts, if we really look at Jesus' life and ministry, by many accounts, he would be considered a loser. Jesus' ministry would not have been considered a success by anyone's definition of success today. Excuse me, lady. Thank you very much. That's my daughter. I can say that to her. Yes, I know, but you're whispering so loud everybody can hear you. I'm going to keep going. So, Jesus' ministry would not have been considered a success by anyone's definition of success today. So when Jesus preached to his hometown in Nazareth, no one listened. No one listened to him. The gospel writers just tell us that everybody just considered, that's Mary and Joseph's son. They kind of wrote him off that way. And so Jesus would go out and he left that town and he preached elsewhere in other towns outside of his hometown, but he never traveled farther than about 100 miles or so from his hometown. And successful people were supposed to get invitations to travel and to talk everywhere about whatever it is that they talk about. And Jesus didn't get those kinds of invitations. Jesus spent most of his time with uneducated, unsuccessful fishermen, tax collectors, sinners. He poured his life into mainly just 12 people. 12 people. And one of those 12 betrayed him, turned him into the police, and had him executed. That's not very good odds, right? And the others scattered. One of his top 3 inner circle followers of Jesus, his most trusted followers, denied even knowing him 3 times. And when Jesus died, this really tells you how successful Jesus was. When Jesus died, his ministry didn't survive him. Everybody just went back to their old jobs. They went back to fishing and tax collecting or whatever it is that they did. The ministry did not survive him. No one would call that ministry or those teachings or anything like that a successful ministry because it did not even survive his own death. And so listen, the only reason that we are still talking about Jesus today is because after his death, after the ministry had already died as well, Jesus was resurrected from the dead. Like, that's the only reason that the church or Christianity has had any success over the ages, is because God did something miraculous. And when God used church people, he used losers like you and me, to just tell this story of what God has done, the miraculous thing that God has done. And those church people told that story to some people, and some people believed them. And those church people told that story to other people, and those people didn't believe them. And they told that story to still other people, and those other people didn't believe them so much, and they made them so mad that they actually killed the people that told them that story. They lost their very lives. They risked their lives. They risked their lives. They ultimately lost their lives, nearly all of those followers of Jesus, not knowing that Christianity would ever become this successful, massive, global religion. Not ever envisioning that there would be a church across an ocean in Pearland, Texas. Who's ever heard of that when you're in the first century? Full of people who are talking about a Middle Eastern Messiah. They simply shared the story of what God did, the miraculous story of what God did. It's good news that God recklessly risked his life for us, and they recklessly risked their life because of their love for the lost, for people. Love for the lost was worth the risk. It was a love for the lost at any cost. Because it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved. Love is that powerful. Love trumps losing every time. And love is the driving force that motivates us, not success. Love is the driving force. As I was writing this message, I've been praying to God for just a little bit more success in life, right? This was the time when I was writing this message, I had spent a long time in prayer asking God, almost begging God for just a little bit more success in life and in ministry. Right? Could just maybe a few more people start showing up every now and then, or on Sunday. Maybe I'm cursed, God, with small ministry or something. Can't be really any part of something big. Maybe, God, could we just baptize a few more people? Maybe, God, could you just bless us with a little bit bigger church budget or whatever? God, could you just give us some kind of confirmation that we're doing this right? And some praying for success is what I was praying for. And I couldn't help but then see the irony that on the day that I found myself discouraged and praying for success, that I also found myself poring over scriptures that were preaching to me love. Love is why we do this. Love is why we seek the lost. And even if we lose every single time, if our motivation for seeking the lost is first love, then we will never lose. Because it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved. I started this message by talking about the time that we nearly lost one of our pets on a Monday night grassroots group. I want to close with telling you a story about a time that we did lose one of our pets, again at a Monday night grassroots group. You should probably write that down. Don't have pets if you join a grassroots group because they're bad for them. But this was about 2.5 years ago, and my daughter Lainey was about 9 years old at the time, and just a small group was about to start. Lainey came running downstairs to tell me something, but in her voice as she was telling me this, it was kind of a tone I'd never heard before. It was a little bit of panic, but mixed with almost like hopeful anticipation of some kind. It was really strange. So she runs down and she says, "Daddy, Daddy, Donut." Now, Donut is our 3-year-old dwarf hamster. Daddy Donut is being so silly. He won't wake up. Now, I think she knew in her heart what had already happened, but she was asking me, almost hoping that I would reassure her that everything was okay. And my heart just sank for her, and I said, "Oh, sweetie, are you sure he's okay?" And so we run upstairs to check on little Donut, and he's not moving right. And her little hamster, her very first pet that was ever hers, all on her own, had passed away. And as I broke this news to her, right, as gently as I could, she just burst into tears, as anyone would, and because she had lost her very first beloved pet. And now, though, 2.5 years later, Eleni doesn't dwell on losing Donut. Right? She remembers loving Donut. And she doesn't hold on to the feelings of loss. She holds on to the feelings of love that she had for him. Because even she's learned that it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved. So as you leave this place and go out to seek the lost, and as you leave the comfort of your comfortable friendships and seek the black sheep in your life, whoever they are, and as you invite the lost into a relationship with God, and as you invite the lost to church, I want to invite you to love those lost people. Because when you love, no matter how many times you feel like you've lost, when you love, you've never really lost. So let's pray and thank God for this gift. Heavenly Father, we are nothing without you. If we don't love, we are just the sound of a clanging cymbal or a loud gong, a rusty gate. Lord, help us to learn to love and to love well. Give us courage to leave our comfort, to seek and to save the lost at any cost. God, encourage us by your love today. Strengthen us by your loving Spirit, who has reached out to us to find us when we were lost. And God, as we celebrate Holy Communion today, our Lord's Supper, we pray that your loving Spirit would join us at this meal. You would remind us of your great love that caused you to lose your life so that we could find new life. Lord, we pray that you would fill this bread and this juice that we are about to receive. Make it be for us like your body and your blood. So as we dip this broken bread and juice and eat it, our bodies wouldn't just be filled with bread and juice, but we would also be filled with the loving Spirit of God inside of us. In Jesus' name. And as we all continue in an attitude of prayer today, if there are any here today who have never known God's love for them, God, I pray that they would just accept that great love, that they would repent of their sins, that they would just turn to you and say, okay, I accept you. That they would, and then all of heaven would rejoice that the lost have been found today. So if there are any here today that would like to accept God's love for them and be changed, made new in a relationship with him, then just pray with me now in the quiet of your heart. You can say something like this to God. Heavenly Father, I'm so sorry for my sins. Please forgive me. Thank you for dying on the cross for me. Thank you for saving me. Thank you for loving me. Today I give you my life. I receive your love. I receive your salvation. I trust you as Lord. Please fill me with your Spirit. In Jesus' name, amen.